Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Music Den. I'm your host, Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a good day. And above all else, that you're looking after yourselves and one another. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you to episode 2 of Have You Heard Of? And the band we're going to be talking about today is a band called Ethos. Ethos were a progressive rock band formed in Fort Wayne, Indiana in 1973. Uh, they were formed out of the ashes of the 60s bands, The Centuries, The Herd, and Atlantis. Now, they were signed to Capitol Records in the US, and they released two albums in 1976 and 1977. Now, as I said before in the previous episode, if you were a band in the early 70s, let's say around 1972, 71 to around 1976, and you were labeled either or called yourself either symphonic or progressive rock, you were in some, if not most cases, unfavorably, sorry, compared to the progressive rock bands of that time. You know, yes, ELP, Jethro Tull, just to name three of them. Rush also. So for a band to be able to try and uh, stake their own claim in terms of gaining a fan base or getting any chart recognition or any sort of I guess you'd say respect from your peers in the music business. It was very difficult um, because again you were being compared sometimes negatively or unfavorably to these bands I just mentioned. Now, Ethos are an interesting group. The album that we're going to be talking about today is their debut release called Ardour. As you can tell, that is very much a progressive rock album cover. If that's not a progressive rock album cover, I don't know what the hell is, right? Um, in the band for this release, as I go through my notes here, we have Duncan Hammond on organ, Moog, piano, mellotron, clavinet, and vocals. Michael Ponchak on organ, Moog, Chamberlain, and effects. Wills Sharp on guitar, mandolin, and vocals. Brad Stevenson on bass pedals, and vocals. And Mark Richards on percussion and effects. Now, on Ordure, there are 8 tracks, and as you can tell from the album cover, the lyrics deal with obviously the sunken city of Atlantis. Um, and uh, uh, most of the bands in this genre during this period, when they would, write songs, they would usually write songs about distant lands, uncharted territories, or either um, from on another planet or just out in the, galaxy, in the solar system. And this album is no different. It starts off with the track Intrepid Traveler. And I should say also too that most of the tracks on this album range in length from like 3 minutes and 54 seconds to 7 minutes and 11 seconds. So all the first 4 tracks on side one are lengthy. They range in length from 5 minutes again to 6 minutes and change. And track one, Intrepid Traveler, in my notes I have here, nice acoustic guitar, very rhythmic, frenetic synth runs, some great piano chord stabs, quote unquote, and good use of mellotron. There is mellotron dripping on this album. Um, you've heard me mention groups like Yes and Genesis, basically bathing their music in mellotron soundscapes, and this album is no different. The next track is called Space Brothers, clocking in at 6 minutes and 14 seconds. In my notes, I have here futuristic synths, grand grand epic in quotes, drum fills. The vocals for me from this band, they really don't grab me. I've got to say, musically, they are fantastic. I mean, they're competent. They're great musicians. But the vocals are pretty mundane, as I have in my notes. And they also have use of choir on background vocals. And definitely you can hear the bass player using a Rickenbacker bass. It, the Rickenbacker bass, or Rickenbacker bass, sorry, as Tom Petty would say, has a very distinct sound. You know the type of bass it is when you hear it. Uh, Musicians like Chris Squire from Yes was infamous for using a Rickenbacker bass. Also, Geddy Lee and on the early Rush albums. And yeah, it's pretty prevalent on this album. And also in the notes for Space Brothers, there's some really good guitar soloing on this track. There's some good guitar work and guitar soloing on this entire album. So continuing on, track 3 is a track called Everyman, clocking in at 5 minutes even. It's done in 3/4 time, so like a waltz time, 1 2 3, 1 2 3. Fantastic track. Nice use of mellotron and acoustic guitar on this track. Very intricate guitar passages that happen on this track. Amazing. Track 4, end of side 1, is a 7 minute 11 second piece called Atlanteans. In my notes, I have your atmospheric mellotron, nice synth passages, uh, good use of panning effect with some synth passages from the left to right channel, intricate guitar and multi sections on this track. This track almost has a bit of a comedic feel to it. Side 2 starts off with The Spirit of Music, shortest track on the album, clocking in at 3 minutes 54 seconds. In my notes, I have your intricate passages, good use of choir vocals on this piece. Uh, Track 6 is called Long Dancer. Again, another somewhat lengthy piece, clocking in at 5 minutes and 21 seconds. In my notes, I have your really dramatic mellotron intro, intricate synth passages, complex drum pattern, and a really good thick guitar tone for this album, for all the tracks on this album. There's a lot of good use of guitar on this album and some really good guitar solos. This is a good album. It's just the vocals for me really the there's no dynamics in the vocals. That's how I can explain it to you, right? There's no peaks and valleys. Pretty much even, I guess, even keel throughout the entire album. After Long Dancer, track 7, The Dimension Man, 7 minutes and 58 seconds. Nice, definite bass on the intro. There's a galloping drum pattern that comes in, a lot of futuristic effects, uh, short guitar chords, kind of like little guitar stabs that come in, gentle vocals that come in, and guitars that sort of like inter, uh, they interweave with one another. There's some good guitar flourishes and mellotron passages on this track. Again, a lot of these tracks are the lyrical themes on the tracks talk about, travelers from a distant realm, distant planet, or obviously the, a city of Atlantis. Track 8 is called Emotion. Okay. 4 minutes and 35 seconds. It starts off with the sounds of the ocean that come in, waves crashing against the shore. Great strumming acoustic guitars, and it's done again in a waltz time, 3/4 time signature. Great way to end the album. Again, for me, uh, the 8 tracks on the album, they're very good. They are very good. Uh, Musically, instrumentally, the compositions are very solid. Okay, to me, it's the vocals that really sort of really don't do anything for me. And I can understand, why more work wasn't put into let me rephrase it. I can understand why the album really didn't do as well as, say, the band or Capitol Records wanted it to do. But I mean, maybe they could have done more with the vocals, or I don't know. It's just the vocals for me kind of deaden the whole thing, the whole the whole album. But there you go, another quote unquote obscure progressive rock band that made a small dent, but really didn't go that far. They released a second album called Open Up in 1977, and then I do believe that Capitol dropped them after that album. And yeah, because again, at this point in time, although there were still progressive rock bands going happening, Just Hotel was still running strong in 77 with songs from the Wood. Yes, release Going for the One, and Genesis were riding high with um, A Trick of the Tail and Wind and Wuthering. But progressive rock at that point was starting to go down. I think it reached its plateau in around 74, 75, and then it slowly started to go down in popularity uh, towards the late 70s. So there you go, guys. Again, another episode of Have You Heard of? Please check out Ethos and Ardour, their debut album. You can stream it on YouTube. There is a 2023 remastered edition on CD. You can check it out on Discogs. You can get it on eBay. You can get it on Amazon. You're probably going to pay a little more for it on Amazon, which is the way, right? Amazon has kind of ticked me off lately, but there you go. Anyways, that's it for now. Please stay tuned for episode 3 of Have You Heard of? And more shows to come. We're going to be taping an episode. When I say we, it'll be Jim Bricker, um, Ken Cheshire. I do believe that uh, Bill Schuster will be joining in, depending on timing. We're going to be having an album discussion on The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway from Genesis, seeing as how it's the 50th anniversary, and they're coming out with the 50th anniversary edition box set of The Lamb at some point. It's been promised for 2024. Anyways, that's coming up, and more shows are coming up after that. So please stay tuned. Please look after yourselves. Please click like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. Again, to keep yourselves on top of any new content I've got coming up. All right. We'll see you soon with more videos. Bye for now.